Whew. What can I say this morning? A simple happy. It is Wednesday today. Yes, it is Wednesday. I'm actually in the middle of my meditative, whatever I call it. I woke up with a lot of gratitude this morning, as always. It's funny, I just been my voice is kind of just changing because all I've actually been doing during these long runs is just homes and wanting to know and understand my own self, shall I say, my true self. Yes, that's what I've been wanting to know, who I am. Just deep searching. Yeah, that's what I'm been doing, just deep searching of myself and being actually grateful for all the things around me. It's really funny how when we talk about, let me see where my light is. When we talk about consciousness, we are it's very easy to talk about consciousness, spirituality, and God and all that. I come to realize that a lot of time, the best time to actually experience those things is the daylight is actually coming out. I like that, the way this guy's coming out. Is during hard times. And when you begin to get up in the morning, meditate and speak to yourself and ask, what is my purpose? Which I have done a lot. I come to realize that it is very hard for people with money or without money to actually treat people the same way. It's really funny. If someone who is going through financial difficulties sees somebody with money, the energy that he uses to say hello to him is different, unlike somebody else who's not in his own situation. But for someone else who's in his own situation, he will greet him casually. So the same thing goes to people who have jobs. So when they see someone with a lot of money, their energy is different. But when they see somebody who doesn't have money, their energy is different. And that's what I've seen all around me. So the whole thing about this path that I'm on, it has allowed me to be more of a compassion person. I've learned so much about compassion over the years because I've been getting up a lot. For the past 10 years, I've literally made it my mission to get up within 1:30 and 3:30 in the morning. I get up every day just to do yoga, to meditate. I write, and I wanted to know a lot of things. I truly become what you call real faithful. I wanted to know what that energy is. So running to me right now, I'm even surprised every day. I think today is marathon number 56 for me. No, not 56, sorry, maybe like number 83. And running is not even running for me anymore. It's just a form of meditation. The whole thing with long distance running has a different meaning to me because everything is movement. Because I begin to realize, even though when we came out of our mother's womb, it was movement. Because gravity, when you actually look at the way a baby is being born, gravity pulled the baby out of the womb. So even the earth is rotating as you and I are standing on it without even realizing it. So that movement, even though we're trying to make it look like it's exercise, so that movement has a lot to do with that spiritual part. It's really funny how I'm in a very unique community right now, and I have to say I'm grateful for a lot of people in that community. But at the same time, I can sense energy. I can feel when people are talking to somebody who is in a better situation than I am, and unlike when they're talking to me. But the truth is, this has allowed me to study real spirituality, the whole essence behind what will I say, the Christ message, all these great philosophers from the Arumilas, you name it. And I begin to realize that every religion that was ever created, every spiritual path, even though there's a lot of things that were questioned, there's a lot of things that's manipulative in it, but they always have, every single religion has a discipline concept in it. The problem is that that disciplinary concept is ignored by many. And that's the flops right there. It's really funny how most communities, we're not even trying to offer a hand just because I wear this type of beads. And I've realized that through when I went through what you call houselessness, I dabbled a lot into a lot of places, and it really changed my whole concept, the way I think. I was raised in a judgmental environment as well. I judge people based on what they have, and this whole part for me, it has allowed me to be more compassionate about people. Even though I see, like here in Atlanta, I've run so many miles, but because I wear my crown the way it is, like I put myself out there, and I always say this to people, and it made me start to think that, you know, sometimes I think it's about time we all start looking at things like having shelters for somebody who's not an addict. Just because somebody's going through homelessness doesn't mean he's an addict. He's almost like a lot of shelters, because I've been to couple. It's almost like for me to be in that shelter, I have to be on some form of drugs, which in reality I think is just so hypocritical, and it goes against what this country's religion is based upon, which everybody claims to be a Christian, but in order to be able to stay in a shelter here, you have to be on some form of drugs. And the reason being is because most of the people that run this shelter are on drugs themselves. So it is very easy to accommodate somebody that uses, because he got caught in his own. He lost everything on his own. So most people are functional addicts, so, and they hide behind religion. So it makes all these shelters just think, yeah, you gotta be. For example, when I lived in the shelter, my caseworker, beautiful woman, nice lady, but the truth is, and I'm not saying this in a bad manner, she's a heavy lady, and that heaviness means her conscious mind is totally different. But because I was living in the shelter, all she did is look down on me. But the truth is, when I was in the shelter, I live a celibacy life. I don't overeat, and that's what I even do up to now, in everywhere I go. And to live a celibacy life, how do I say this? Watch what you eat, movement, meditation, yoga. I don't think it's really respected, because even though in some of our, what I call spiritual places, we still overindulge. And I can see it, because that energy, that consciousness I've really tapped into. I can really look at people's energy and be like, oh, all they see is that, oh, Ade doesn't have this, so I'm better than him because I have a roof over my head. But the truth is, my abundance is different. I have to admit, when I first went through this, and especially, I'm going to say this to all the Nigerian communities, I almost want to say, wow, that's so deep. And it's the reason why sometimes church, to me, I just think sometimes is full of a lot of hypocrites. We judge so much. And this part that I'm on, that's why I'm not ashamed of it. I now speak for the people who went through the same part that I went through, who did not know how to deal with it, because a lot of people hide behind their depression, because not having, especially in our cultural, I won't call it capitalist society, there's just something about money that is so unique that you got hard. And once you realize that energy, it pushes you in a certain pedestal. So everybody that's around, and that's why the people that I met at this community that have shown me love, that do not see me as houseless, I truly admire them. And I could even say names, but I'm going to keep that to myself. But unlike a lot of people in this community too, all they see is not having that houses. But, you know, from I would say from my Uncle Richard to Uncle Al, Miss Lee's, all those beautiful people that I've just met around here that just truly, truly see me as a being, but not as somebody who did not have. And I think sometimes I always say to people, I came here to, I came, everywhere I go to teach, because the whole judgmental thing is not because you have money. It's funny how a homeless person, I'm going to repeat that, will say hello to a rich guy. But when he sees another homeless person just like him, he mistreat him. So, and I think it also brings the true meaning that your wealth doesn't define who you are. Is your state of mind. Because if a homeless person is looking down on somebody that's homeless like him, and he gets judged all the time, but yeah, when he sees a rich person, he smiles at him. It's absolutely so far. It don't make no sense to me. And I kid you not, I've had a great life, a great experience on human consciousness. That whole getting up every single morning at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., it just brings light to my whole being. I'm truly honored. You know, I can say my story. I'm not ashamed of nothing. Nothing fazes me anymore, because I realize everything in this life is just a path. You know, you go through. I mean, like, I've wandered everywhere. I've just slept on so many couches, and I've seen so many abuse, that what it has done to me, it has gave me that thing called compassion. I never ever want to mistreat anybody. Never want to mistreat anybody. And I will say this, people always talk about, oh, we got to end racism, we got to end this. Well, how can you end racism when you cannot even have compassion for a homeless person or somebody that has lesser than you? It's just absolutely impossible. And I'm also saying this not to be disrespectful to anyone, especially in our churches. We are very, very good at judging. I'm going to give an example of how in the West End area, there's a lot of Christians and there's a lot of traditional people. Constantly we're being harassed just because people look at an African tradition and say, well, it's animal sacrificing. Well, I'm looking at it from a veganism point of view. At the end of the day, every one of you sacrifice animal, because the same people that comes out and complain about the Africans killing goats, killing meat, doing animal sacrifice, the moment you walk into their fridge, when you go into their houses, there are a bunch of chickens, there are a bunch of meat. And it's really funny how people can actually come out and say animal sacrifice, you know, because when people hear the tradition of the Ifa, the first thing is animal sacrifice. But when I go into your house, you have your chicken, you have your fish, you have everything right there is a sacrifice. At the end of the day, that's just the way I look at it. And it's one of the reasons why I just kind of just stay to myself and be proud of who I am. So this whole thing about getting up every day to run has really made open up my eyes. Yeah, I knew a lot of Nigerians that they would talk to me just because I'm just happy about who I am. There was a recording that the BSTV did on me being in the shelter. It's really funny how I get zero people stop talking. A lot of people just stop talking to me because of that. And the more I see that, the more I never want to be part of that culture that look down on people. And I'm really saying this because we always complaining that, yeah, this is racist, but the truth is, most individuals that go into this thing called their churches are so racist against poor people who don't have. So we cannot break that circle. So in order to break that circle, you have to see everybody as one. So and that's what I've gotten to see over the years. I kid you not, the best time to seek God is when everything doesn't go your way. It is really funny when I see everyone that I grew up with, and I'm like, man, how did he get that? How did he do this? And it's amazing because now my friends who I grew up with, just because their life turned out differently, they don't even speak to you though. Well, I had a friend ask me the other day, so what are you doing with your life? And I'm like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. This is my path right here. So, and I'm saying this just because in order to understand spirituality, if you cannot see everybody as yourself, whether they're poor or rich, you haven't yet to find the true meaning of your own traditional, spiritual, or God, or whatever you want to call it, and which most people cannot even. And these days I just laugh because, you know, I walk that energy. It's almost like I become psychic. I can read through every single energy in front of me. I can read people's insecurity, you name it. So let me continue. This bird is singing right now. It means I gotta continue my run. Yep, it means it's time for me to stop talking and let nature speak for me. As you could hear it, it's speaking. So, well, let me hurry up and start my day. I've got to come back here and I'm working today. You know, I get to do one of my best jobs today, which is putting food into people's bag. I just love seeing people smile and knowing that I gave. It's all about serving. So I'm going to leave it to this bird's hand to continue to sing for me this morning. And I'm going to say, treat people the way you like to be treated. And for a lot of you that I met, I know you cannot get over my situation. Even though you smile at my face, you laugh, I can still see through you that you are judging me based on my situation. But you know, the thing is though, I still love you because I used to be like that. One love.